Reading from Stories from Lafcadio Hearns, the story's name is The Boy Who Drew Cats. A long time ago, a poor farmer and his wife lived in a small village in Japan. They were very good people and worked very hard. They had many children, but they did not have much food for them. When the eldest boy was 14, he helped his father every day in the fields, and all the little girls worked with their mother. Only the youngest child, a little boy, could not work. He was not very strong, and people said that he would not grow very big. But he was clever, cleverer than all his brothers and sisters. So his father and mother decided not to ask him to work on the farm, but to make him a priest. One day they took him to the village temple. They asked the good old priest in the temple to take the little boy as a disciple and to teach him. The old priest spoke kindly to the little boy and then asked him some difficult questions. The boy answered very cleverly, and the priest took him into the temple as a disciple. The boy learnt quickly from the old priest, but he had one great fault. He liked to draw cats during study hours. He drew cats everywhere. He drew them on the priest's books and on the walls and screens of the temple. When he was alone, he always sat down and drew cats. The priest told him several times that this was not right, but the boy did not stop. He tried, but he could not stop. His fingers told him that he must draw cats. And his cats were very good. One day he drew some very clever pictures of cats on a paper screen. The old priest was angry with him and said, "My boy, you must go away from this temple at once. You will never become a good priest, but perhaps you will be a great painter." Now listen very carefully to what I say. Remember these words. Don't stay in large places at night. Stay in small places. The boy did not understand these words about large places and small places, but he was afraid to ask the priest any questions. He put his clothes in a bag and got ready to go away. He said goodbye to the priest, and very sadly, he left the temple. He did not want to go home to his poor family and his angry father. Then he remembered that at the next village, 12 miles away, there was a very big temple. There were several priests at that temple, and perhaps they needed one more disciple. The temple was closed at this time, but the boy did not know this. All the priests went away from it because a demon came to live there. The demon frightened everyone away. 3 samurai went to the temple to try and kill it, but no one saw them again. The boy did not know these things, and he continued full of hope. When he got to the village, it was dark. All the people were asleep in bed. But the boy could see the big temple on a hill at the other end of the street. There was a light in it. The demon put that light there because it wanted people to come to the temple. The boy went up to the big door and knocked on it. There was no answer. He knocked again, but no one came. At last he pushed the door. It opened, and he went in. Light came from a paper lantern, but he saw no priests. He sat down and waited for a priest to come. Then he noticed that everything in the temple was very dusty. He thought, there is plenty of work here for a boy like me to keep this temple clean. Then he saw some very big white screens, and he thought at once, these screens will be very good to draw cats on. He was tired after his long walk, but he looked for a writing box and made some ink and began to draw cats. He drew a great many cats on the white screens, and then he began to feel sleepy. He was going to lie on the floor and sleep in front of the screens. He was going to lie on the floor and sleep in front of the screens when he remembered the old priest's words. Don't stay in large places at night. Stay in small places. The temple was very large, and he was alone in it. He thought again of the priest's words. He still did not understand them, and he began to feel afraid. So he looked around him, and he found a little cupboard with a door. He went into it and closed the door behind him. Then he lay down on the floor of the cupboard and fell asleep at once. Very late in the night, a terrible noise woke him up. Very late in the night, a terrible noise woke him up. Very late in the night, a terrible noise woke him up. It was a loud noise of screaming and fighting. He was afraid to look out from his cupboard. He lay there and held his breath in fear. The terrible noises continued for a long time, and the light blew out. After a long, long time, the noises stopped. But the boy was afraid to move. He did not get up until the light of the morning sun shone in through the holes in the door of the little cupboard. Then he got out and looked around him. He saw blood all over the floor of the temple, and he saw a rat. It was a demon rat, as big as a cow. It lay dead on the floor in the middle of the blood. Who killed the rat? There was no one in the temple. Suddenly, the boy noticed the screens. The mouths of all the cats were red and wet with blood. Who killed that demon rat? It was the cats on the screen. It was the cats on the screens. And now he understood the old priest's words. Don't stay in large places. Stay in small places. You can still see some of that boy's drawings of cats in old temples in Japan. The end.